So you got a job here, but then something
Yeah,
happened along the way. You met your wife, got your roots here in Long Beach. And, one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on People Junkie is because People Junkie, I want it to be about connectivity, connections, and also inspiration. Now, you were talking about how you were an engineer. Okay. Did you know anything about photography or going up to people? Because that's what I'm going to lead into with the humans of Long Beach. That's something that you're known for. And, I usually have a word of the day that embodies my guest, but your word is not a word at all. Your word is actually a phrase, and it's human interest. And I think that's very interesting. Many of
right.
you, yeah, many of you have already heard of the humans of Bombay, the humans of New York, but then you started the humans of Long Beach. Talk about how that started, when that started, and did you make any connections with anyone that was part of humans of Bombay, humans of New York, and so forth?
Right. Well, when I came over, it was 2008, and that was around the time when Facebook, social media was basically getting its feet on the ground. Um, and it was an easy way for keeping in touch with people back home, letting them know what I was up to, just by posting pictures on my Facebook page, basically. And it was a perfect way of keeping in touch. So I can imagine if I'd come 20 years earlier, homesickness would probably have figured in my life somewhere, leaving all my friends and family behind. But it didn't, because you can go on social media and it's like you're talking to them, sitting down next to them, sort of thing. So it was a good thing. But one of the first things I bought when I got over here was a camera to aid my social media. I went on a little night school course up by Hartwell Park, trying to learn, because it's not easy, photography. I still haven't mastered it by a long way. Anyway,
No.
so I was also, from my travels, I also had the exploration bug. So I was going off on my bicycle at every given opportunity to just riding, basically, with no particular goal, and just exploring Long Beach, all over the city, everywhere. Probably places I shouldn't have been going, actually, in hindsight,
What
and
what does that
taking
mean?
pictures.
What does that mean? Places you shouldn't go.
Well, I remember when Humans of Long Beach was well underway, and there was a Martin Luther King Day festival. They had a big party in the park, up in the park behind PCH, and I got talking to the guy, one of the organisers, and from the way he was talking, I think he was insinuating that I wasn't safe, basically. I said, are you trying to tell me that I'm not safe coming around here? He goes, well, today you are, because there's policemen everywhere, because there's so many people around. He says, but on a normal, everyday day, he says, no, you're not. He says, if some guy's having a bad day and sees you riding around with your camera on your shoulder and, you know, not wanting to be racist, but a white guy, because it's a mainly African-American community around there. He says that'd be the end of you, basically. And I couldn't believe it, because I've been around there maybe not hundreds of times, but tens of times, meeting people and talking to people who'd all been perfectly nice, etc. But this is one of the people who lived in that particular area. And he said, "No, you're not safe coming in. Don't come here," basically, which was a massive shock to me at the time.
Yeah, that's interesting because one of the reasons I myself moved to Long Beach and actually stayed as many years as I've had is because it's so diverse. I grew up in many people that have been following the podcast know I grew up in the San Fernando Valley in Southern California. I moved to Indiana, came back, moved all over the place in Southern California until I really found my people here in Long Beach. And it's because there's so much flavor, that means diversity for me. And I've never had that. But again, I may look like I'm white. I'm not. I'm Latina, Chicana, Mexicana. And so yeah, it must have been a little difficult for you to hear, when you're going around and maybe you were feeling safe enough to do that. But I do understand where that other individual's coming from.
Yeah, and again, the gang element, there's gangs in Long Beach, which is
Oh
another
yeah,
thing.
everywhere, everywhere.
And a lot of those are based on the color of skin, but unfortunately, you get Hispanic gangs, you get African American, you get Asian gangs. And I think that's what he was also referring to as that I'm a white guy going into a mainly black neighborhood.
Yeah.
That would bring some danger in as well. There must be a dozen times when people have said, "Hey, be careful around here." The area by Daisy Avenue and around there, which is
Really? Yeah,
yeah,
that's interesting. But you know what? I think that's actually a good thing because someone who isn't from here may not know the area as well. And you have people who are definitely looking after you. And that's another aspect why I love Long Beach so much because there's so many people looking after each other.
yeah. And going back to the diversity, Laura, it's definitely the most diverse place I've been in America. And I've done a lot of, we've got the biggest Cambodian population outside of Cambodia here, haven't you, for starters?
I actually live near Little Cambodia, so it's an
Right.
amazing place. Yeah, the
Yeah.
culinary is amazing. So I mean, that's interesting that happened to you, and I'm glad that you discussed that because everywhere you go, it shows you no place is safe, but then it also shows you the humanity of Long Beach that people are going to look after you even though they don't know who you are.